I've lived in this house for 10 years and the backyard was in a state the way it was for 10 years. As a designer that works in backyard renovations, it was pretty embarrassing. The fences were standing and that was the most I could hope for. All I cared about was the interior. This house was a huge fixer-upper and the backyard was always something that was going to happen, but I could just never muster up the time. Part of the whole house renovation was turning the basement into a basement apartment. So not having a garage in a property like this was really challenging, and then you throw a new baby into the mix, you have zero storage. You know that quintessential saying that good fences make good neighbors? Well, I have great neighbors and I ensured that I designed a fence that looks the same on both sides. And sometimes this is difficult to do when you do a horizontal design of a fence because one side is the side that you screw into and then the other side is where you get the nice horizontal boards. But I came up with this design that has a 2x2 framing around the panels and that's on both sides. So there's really no good and bad side to the fence. And I could also get them to chip in on the cost of it. So that was, it was a good double duty design there. I needed some control back here. My husband and I are both really busy with work, so we needed things to be as low maintenance as possible. So to get some greenery back here, we kept one of the original lilac trees, which is great because it was nice and established, and created these two raised planters. I have a thing with white flowers. I just sort of, you can't go wrong with white flowers. So we have a white lilac tree back here, we have the white hydrangeas, and we'll change that out color-wise with more perennials. It was all about maximizing every square foot back here. It's not a huge yard, but it's a good size for downtown. The garage was gonna take up as much space as it was gonna take up for a 2-car garage, but I wanted that to sort of recede back in the property, so I clad that with this beautiful pre-finished wood in this custom color. It's actually a Benjamin Moore color blackjack that I had it color matched to. It's just a color that I really like. It's black, but it also has this sort of navy blue undertone. And the fact that it's pre-finished allows it to go up and then you don't have to worry about repainting it in like 5-10 years or anything like that. So I love the way that looked. I just used some residential design tricks by adding in the windows with the mullions and then the glass door, and also adding lighting as if you were entering into a home. So it creates more of a courtyard feel back here as opposed to looking at the back of a garage. I also had the metal being made for the awning on the garage. That's just a sheet of hot rolled metal that I had my metal guy rust. And then once it hit the perfect amount of rusting, we said stop and sealed it and then mounted that up. And so that was a little bit of a splurge, like a little bit of an added expense, but it's these little details that are where I always can justify spending a little bit more, and it justifies saving on so many other things, like for instance, pressure treated lumber in the backyard. We have stairs that go down to the basement on the other side of the breeze block wall. And I am so obsessed with breeze block. I use it in so many of my designs, so I'm so happy to finally have it in my own backyard. And I thought it was a great way to use it to create this partition wall because A, you need a railing and want a little bit of privacy down to those stairs. So it's a really great way of adding a little bit of that mid-century modern vibe back here. It's really important for me to look at what you need utilitarian-wise for a backyard, but then also make it gorgeous. I always think of backyard zones as the way you think of the interior of a home. So I've got our living room out here on the corner and our dining room over there. I designed the living room intentionally on this corner of the deck and found a sectional that was perfect for this area because then I didn't have to wrap a railing around it, and then it feels a little bit more linked to the rest of the backyard. When it comes to the dining area, because there's not much room back here, it was important to get it as close to the fence as possible. So I did that by creating an integrated bench, and then that allows you to push the table as tight as possible. And I love doing pendant lights over outdoor dining areas. It creates a more intimate environment in the backyard. I actually had my metal worker create a custom metal arm that I attached onto the top of the fence and then just hung a simple basket light off of. And actually that basket light is $20 from IKEA, and I just spray painted it black. It's a really great trick. Also, you can take like woven baskets and flip them upside down. You just want something that is going to weather nicely outside and something that's not too precious. So we've got our living room and dining room up on the deck, and then you transition down towards the garage, but then I wanted there to be another sort of zone back there. Downtown Toronto, it's very hard to have a fire pit, and also you have to be kind to your neighbors. So the great thing about this unit is that it actually has the opportunity to be hooked up to natural gas or a propane tank. And I created this little bump out around the radius of the fire pit, so that whole elevation was kind of conceived together with these planters that are flanking the fire pit on either side. And because I made this decision so early on in the design process, I was able to incorporate a little box that was going to hide the propane tank under our floating bench. Seeing as Jack is 14 months old and a fire pit is sort of like no touch right now, it dawned on me that this 18-inch high fire pit was perfect kid table height. So I took advantage of that and made a custom tabletop that folds up. And then when we're not using the fire pit, we can just set that up and Jack has a rough and tumble little play table. I get asked a lot, what's the best advice for renovating your backyard? And it's not a sexy one. I think it's just have a good plan. You have to really think out everything that your family needs in their backyard to make it work for you. Every morning when I get up and I come downstairs and I'm making my coffee, I look out and I feel like there's another home back there. There's another living room, dining room, there's a fire pit. It's very welcoming and it pulls us outside more, and I just love spending the time out here now.